Welcome to Personal Profiles, where we share inspiring stories. Today, I'm so happy to introduce Dr. Esra Roan. She is my very best friend, very good friend, and she's an inventor, entrepreneur, and a businesswoman, and she's working to advance healthcare innovations. So she co-founded a medical device company and served as CEO for 7 years. Esra remains dedicated to mentoring future leaders in medicine. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Nighat. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
I'm so happy to have you here. So I want to know about your entrepreneurial journey. How did you start? What initially comes to your mind that instead of teaching field, you chose this entrepreneurship and business?
Yeah, Nighat, I think I was always an entrepreneur. As a child, as someone who came to US originally from Istanbul, Turkey, I think it was in me the whole time. I just had to get to it by process of elimination. If you go back, right, the folks who made big difference in my life is my first tennis coach, right? He taught me the value of hard work, repetition, what you get out of that, and taught me how to stretch myself beyond what my capability on that day was. That's how I see it.
I love that because now, you know, this medical device company that you started, Somavac, I'm also part of it. I'm an investor, and I love to be a part of it. So tell us about the device, and while you are telling us about the device that you have kind of created with your team, also tell us some of the misconceptions or some of the difficulties that healthcare providers have, misconceptions or difficulties about after operation recovery.
Imagine the person who has a big orthopedic surgery, big cancer surgery, and they go home and they have something sticking out of their body.
Yeah.
And no instructions, minimal help. So what I've learned, so with Somavac, what we did is we created, with the mindset of patient first, medical device that helps to manage the drains and minimize complications that are associated with what drains do in the body. So that was our goal. But what I have done, approaching it is patients first approach, because I think
that's wonderful. There are not much like patients first approaches.
Yes. This is where I call it the blind spot of healthcare.
Yeah.
So you were asking the question of what do they not know?
Yeah.
What most patients, for example, and their loved ones don't know is they are going to go home with something that was designed for hospital use, for professional use.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is empathy, compassion is key here, because what we learned, what I learned during my, Somavac years is that no matter what you do, patients who arrive home, as you suggested, a couple of hours after surgery, they're scared. No matter what you do, even if you have the perfect device, they will be scared. If you make devices easy to use or common sense, there's enough data there that shows you it will result in better clinical outcomes, less money spent. But the data is coming in on all of these, and they're not strong enough. Like in heart devices, right, stents, you either save life or you don't. It's black and white. In this type of work, it's softer data, let's put it that way. Totally. So it's not as convincing for institutional healthcare providers to get behind some of this stuff as strongly.
But this is making people's life easier, right? It's not the painkiller, it's the vitamin.
Yes, yes, to some extent. To some extent, indeed. It's, and what happens is patients can demand. We have evidence of direct-to-consumer messaging, especially in breast cancer care, because the community in breast cancer care is so knowledgeable, and they look for solutions. Or women, sisterhood, can communicate good solutions. But ultimately, it boils down to who pays for it. If you're paying for insurance, why should you be paying more, right? So someone has to take this cost on. And for that, data should be there, rightfully. But the burden for startups to create that data is 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
And how do you survive? This is where medical device companies are so capital intensive, and it takes time.
Do you have any other programs on the horizon that you're working on with the startups? Like you said, you like to start new things, and I know you're very excited for starting new things, and I really like about that.
Yes. Yeah. I think, again, you asked about entrepreneurship and risk, right?
Let me fix it. I really like that about you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've learned to appreciate that about me, but one of the things you have to realize is when you're willing to do these things, you have to be willing to also falter or fall flat. But, something I learned over time. But, yes, I am really excited that I am working on a new project now. As we mentioned in our previous conversation right here, this is a new project out of Atlanta, a new company. I've began to serve as their CEO, and this company is focusing on treating the heart at the heart. For example, after where your heart is starting to fail, pumping muscles, we can possibly repair and regenerate and save lives.
That's wonderful, and congratulations for this new job. So with that new job, and you're now a CEO of another company, how do you see Somavac? Where do you see it going?
It's doing wonderful. It has its own new CEO. Board is continuing to make progress on the company. What we built as a foundational team is continuing on. In startups, it's quite natural that the founders will move on at some point. And to tell you the truth, that's how I learned to work.
Yeah, the founders usually are the innovators, right?
Yeah,
so
we are the
innovators.
But also, it ties to that work-life balance. The work that you do first 2-3 years of a startup, the 0 to 1 phase, is very heavy lift. I think the company has done great. It has great future and potential, and I'm here for it whenever, right? I'm called into supporting it as well.
Somavac started pre-COVID.
Yes.
And it survived that phase.
Yes.
And I think Somavac in a good position, and all the other companies, I'm happy.
I agree.
So we spoke about all these technical things and all of that. So as a woman, I know it is so hard to balance like work and family life. How do you do that? And what were some of the challenges, and how did you overcome them? And so I wanna get some inspiration for our listeners.
Oh wow! I have to be honest. I'm probably one of the me, that I'm probably
you work
not one of the best ones to say.
We always say that honestly. We always say I'm not one of the best ones. Believe me, if you ask our kids, your kids, they will say, "Mom, you've been the best one." So there you go.
I don't know the name of the author. But she, so the lean-in version, and then there's the other version of the same dialogue. So I have read this thing, there's no work-life balance, there's work-life integration.
Like that?
I like that a lot better. So this is why when I work at night, have my computer open, I would tell my kids, look, some people have hobbies.
Yeah.
I just love work. I like what I do. This is my hobby. So don't think that I'm in pain working. I'm enjoying this. So I was very explicit about explaining to them.
Oh my God, if all women think like that, then we are happy.
Yeah. So with that said, I had to forego trips, vacations, missed lots of things. But one of the things I've always done, and I encourage folks, is communicate. Communicate with your kids that why you're doing what you're doing, and bring them in.
That's one thing I really want to ask you, how important it is for us women, or anybody, let's not genderize it, for anybody to say no gracefully. Just say no. And
it's a very tough one, Nighat, because there's enough studies out there that speak to the fact that women have to show the results to get the promotion, to get the investment, to get everything, whereas men can speak to it.
That's true.
So there's data. This is not my personal opinion, right? And my husband and I, he's a corporate, right, executive, and I do what I do. We talk about these things, perceptions. So yes, you want to say no, but as a female, sometimes you have to show it.
That's very
so true. This is why, while I still said yes to things, I still should have said no.
Maybe that's why we over-explain ourselves.
Yes,
when we say no, we explain ourselves.
Of course, we do. So I do think that times are changing, and I do think there's, for everyone, for young people, male or female, choosing how they're spending their time, especially in entrepreneurship, is really important. I've learned that ultimately I didn't rest, or I didn't take breaks enough, and I got tired, overburnt, burnout, and I make wrong decisions.
We spoke about, you touched your tennis just a little bit. I came to know you played competitive tennis.
Yeah.
How did you do that? Tell us about that, and why didn't you continue doing that?
I do some, and I do things, volunteer, and do certain things with tennis. On the side. So I was first a tennis player, above all, right? I still see myself as that, because my personality, my resilience, my key character traits come from being a tennis player. Since then, I had 2 hip surgeries, and I've slowed down, and with kids and everything, I haven't spent enough time, but
now
time to
you're on another marathon of creating things.
Yes.
Innovation.
Yeah, I do.
Science,
I do.
STEM.
Yeah, Tennis Memphis. So you were asking about great things in Memphis. There's something, an organization called Tennis Memphis. It's a nonprofit that runs cities' tennis centers, and then what they do is they provide after-school tutoring, tennis, education through tennis, and so on. So it's a great organization. So I support them. I teach. I get on the court, teach a little bit, and I volunteer through them. So it's
That's
a wonderful.
You coach. You have to coach me one of those days.
We may not be friends. I will push you hard.
Yeah, probably, because
you won't like me.
My son tells me, "Mommy, you don't have hand-eye coordination," so I might fail right then and there. Yeah. So my last question. What is your advice for youngsters who are starting in their journey, and they might end up like choosing STEM or per se
choosing
tennis?
STEM?
Yeah. Or your field, entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Let's answer the entrepreneurship first. I would say go do it. Go for it. Here's what I tell to everyone. If you spend 8 hours of your day on something, it will work. Something else to young people, you ask for young people, that I always say. I used to comfort them by saying, at 18, there's no way you will know what you want for life. Give yourself grace. Yeah. Get the degree, even if maybe it wasn't optimized on third year if they came to me, right? Really, I said, finish it up. Work in it 3 years, but know that you can build on that, what you created. Give it 3 more years, but know that it's not forever, right? Knowing that it's not forever is really a good way of thinking, because I put that pressure. When you study law, engineering, and medical and choose to leave it, people think there's something wrong with you because you work so hard to get these things. My PhD is in engineering, and I left my tenure after 7-8 years of fighting. People thought I was ill when I left it, right? So,
but you followed your dream, your heart, your
students
mind.
feel that pressure when they, I worked so hard to get engineering degree. I can't leave it. Yes, you can.
You can.
But work 3 years in it, so you say you've gotten the skill set, and then leave it, Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all the wisdom with us.
Thank you.
I loved having you.
Oh, I appreciate it. I always love chatting with you, and we have so much more than this, actually. You have so much wisdom that I got from you with your background. So there's so many different ways to learn things.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.